Hello, and happy holiday season, which means it is time to start making wreaths. We thought today we are going to go ahead and go through and make a wreath that we would for one of our customers using common farmer-florist ingredients and our fancy no-hammer clamp wreath machine. From the beginning of Sierra Flower Farm, we needed to figure out a way to elongate our season, essentially, once the field is asleep. And a great way we do that is by having holiday wreaths as one of our offerings. In the beginning days, we used to hand wire with the traditional cranking of the wire, and it became very labor-intensive and time-consuming. So a couple seasons ago, we decided we needed an upgrade. We needed to make a wreath that was more beautiful, more robust, and in less time. So we went ahead and we invested in the Mitchell's No Hammer clamp wreath machine. It's a mouthful to say, but the unit is absolutely worth it. So what we did is we actually just bought the hardware for the wreath machine, which has a little clamp and a foot pedal. They also offer a hand cranking one, but we decided we wanted to be able to stand up and groove while making wreaths. And then we went ahead and actually made the table ourselves, even though they do have the option to purchase a table if you don't feel like being handy and making one. Along with the clamp machine and the table, you would have to buy some fancy little wreaths that have the prongs on it. They look a little awkward to use, but you're going to see how super simple it is to do this. The ingredients we chose to use in our wreath today are all either 100% foraged or grown here at Sierra Flower Farm. Let me go ahead and show you. When designing, I prefer to use two types of bundles to alternate. I feel that it highlights the specialty ingredients better without overstuffing the wreath, also making it a little bit more affordable. So for the first bundle, I have a base of Douglas fir with juniper and eucalyptus. And then in the second bundle, I have the base of Douglas fir, juniper, along with some bunny tails and dusty miller. So we're kind of going for more of a winter long wreath this time. Now, the biggest part in making a wreath with using the clamp machine is preparing your bundles ahead of time. I like to have them all laid out in the order I'm going to grab them, so that way it kind of goes quick from there when you're in the process of making. So a big thing with using the clamp machine is making sure that you have your wreath and your prongs aligned properly. You need to have the prongs in the groove. So you're going to see how right there, it's going to catch, and that's what's going to push those prongs over, and that's what's going to hold the bundle. So it gets a little tricky at first, but once you do it a few times, it gets pretty easy. When I start with my first bundle, I like to choose the one that has more hardier ingredients. So today, that's going to be the eucalyptus bundle, since the bunny tails are dried, so they're a little bit more fragile, and you'll see why that's kind of important at the end of the wreath. Each bundle is going to be about 6 to 8 inches, just kind of depending on your style. And the wreath kind of lays it for you at an angle automatically. So you can see where you want to push down all your greens, and then you're going to clamp down. One bundle down. And then you're going to go ahead and you're going to repeat the process with the second one. Just kind of layering it over, making sure you caught all the goodies in there. And sometimes if you've made it a little too long, you can kind of cut it and it'll help it from getting too bulky. You definitely don't want the branches going in down to the next prong, because that's going to make your wreath too thick, but you also don't want them over too much outside the wreath ring. So you're going to hold down the ingredients, and oh, you see how it slipped right there? I think I got it though. And push down. Okay, now from there, it's just repeating the process over and over. tricky, which is why I mentioned my first bunch. I like to put my more robust ingredients as the first bunch, because I don't know how any other delicate way to say this, but we have to just shove in that last bundle to get under here, and it takes a little bit of lifting and maneuvering of that first bunch. So let me show you. The big thing is you want to make sure you're not catching the greenery from your first bunch in it, because then it'll just look wonky like a bald spot. And then you're just going to go ahead and you're going to just shove it in there as best you can. We're going to go ahead and align our prongs. Making sure that we are holding that first bunch out of the way and they're captured and clamped. There we go. Look at that fluffy beauty. Now, the last step you want to go ahead and do is we're going to need to give this guy just a small, quick haircut, unless you prefer it wild. If you prefer it wild and crazy and organic, have at it. I guess it also depends on what your customers like. I like to just give it a nice little quick haircut. Not going too crazy. I'm not looking to make it all super even. That's boring. We want to keep this interesting. But just to make sure it's a little bit more even. Get all the little wonky guys. Okay. And this would also be the point where you can add your accents. So today I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to use these pine cones. You can have it all around the wreath. I like to do a little cluster. I just think it's kind of fun that way. Lifting through, trying to kind of disguise the cloth. Make sure it still looks nice and fluffy, that wreath. Twisting the wire in the back, and then you'll go ahead and clip it and tuck it in. Pretty easy. Nothing too crazy. Checking to see that security of those pine cones. And do one more. And you can have them go different ways, directions, however you want to do it. They're just fun. And pro tip with the pine cones, you want to go ahead and bake these guys at 225 for about, it depends on the size pine cone, about 20 to 30 minutes. Until the sap is all nice and melted. And then you want to go ahead and lay them flat on some foil and cure them for about 24 hours. And what that sap turns into is a nice hard resin that also gives them a beautiful shine. So not sticky anymore. And also just, it gives a nice like warm tone to the pine cones that just make them a little bit more beautiful. Okay. And there we have it. I hope you enjoyed today's video as we use the clamp machine with all foraged and locally grown wreaths. Hopefully this is going to go ahead and step up your wreath making game. If you find yourself sitting there and hand wiring wreaths for hours on end, invest in this. I think it's one of my favorite investments I've actually made for the holiday season. I now get to go and bake cookies with my kids instead of spending hours upon hours hand wiring wreaths. Well, have a wonderful holiday season, and until next time, we are looking forward to helping you hand bloom soon.